try one more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're so excited. Thank you for being here today. We're so excited here at Chandler-Gilbert. I'm Greg Peterson, and I have the honor of being president here at Chandler-Gilbert Community College, which is the best job in the world after being a faculty member here. So I rank right behind that because they get to spend time with you. And we are so honored to be able to have experiences for you here on campus and to be able to interact with some greats in our culture, some greats of our time. And we've been doing this with our amazing leadership for the last 12 years of bringing literary heroes really onto campus to inspire you, to help you think about the impact you can have in our world. And today having Jimmy Santiago Baca with us is a further example of the amazing impact that you can have on lives. And so we hope you're inspired. It's more of like a guarantee. I feel like if I'm winning the lottery here, this is a good bet you'll be inspired today. We're so thankful for you to be here, and with that, I will turn it over to Mary.
Thank you so much. I don't want to take time from the main speaker this morning. I just want to say to you that it is a privilege that we have Jimmy Santiago Baca with us. It's not only his poetry, it's not only his writing, it's his life experiences that touches you. And without anything else, please let me welcome Jimmy Santiago Baca.
I saw the lineup of the writers that you've had in the past, and you have a pretty distinguished group. And I speak for about 30 years, I've been going on 2 tours every year, and I've taught at different places like Stanford, Berkeley, and on and on. And so I know where I kind of speak from, and I'm about to go on. I thought sort of the intense things were over, but I'm about to go tour the South, which is kind of surprising. But the readers that you've had here before are pretty phenomenal, and I think that would be something that I really have to thank you for, David, because if you're the one that brings these writers in, you have the chance of making this reading series. I think you've had about 10 or 15, right, or something. I'm not sure. What? Yeah, you have the chance of making this one of the most distinguished reading series in the country that vies with NYU or Georgetown or Texas or any of the Stanford stuff. Some of the writers you brought in so far have been phenomenal. So whoever needs to support you, I beg you to support him. And whoever hasn't helped, I beg you help them. Because you've got something here at Little Chandler College that even big schools don't have. They wish they had a reading series like you got. You know? And I usually charge $15,000, by the way. I'm booked up every year. And he promised me the best plate of enchiladas this side of the Mississippi, so I came. So you guys got me for a really good plate, but I expect those enchiladas to be really good. Okay. I just finished a novel, and got 31 books in 33 languages, still all in print. I've got several movies, some of which you've seen. I'm sure you've all seen Blood In, Blood Out. Some of you, right? Raise your hand. Yeah. Have you? Yeah. Good. And then the documentary just came out, showed PBS 149 million homes for 7 weeks, which is like crazy. Especially for an ex-convict like me that did time just right over the fence over here. As a matter of fact, most of you weren't even born when I was in my cell writing poetry. And that's probably why you came out so healthy, because I was writing healthy poems for you. You know? I was right over there. It's really weird that you guys weren't even born yet. Okay, the novel, I'm going to read you just a small part of it, okay? No one's heard it. I just sent it. It was accepted by 2 of the major houses in New York, and I had to pull it back. I let the president of Vassar, the president of Stanford, read it, NYU, and everybody said, this is sort of a lesson for you to digest if you're in any kind of walk of life that you're in. It was accepted 5 years ago, and I couldn't do it. I mean, the Vassar president wrote me and said, you knocked a home, I mean, this was like a grand slam hit. And when I came down from my bedroom that morning and saw the manuscript on my table, with 1,400 pages, and I knew it was no good because of my gut. Even though the people who wrote me were like, "Wow, can we publish it?" I said, "No, I don't know what I was after, but after 5 years, I found it, and it was crazy. It's only 250 pages, and instead of going to New York, I called up a Chicano press at the University of Houston, practically begged them, can you just look at it? And the guy, within 24 hours, said, we want it. We'll send a contract on it right away. Because it's a Chicano book about sexual pedophiles in the Catholic Church. 5 years ago when I wrote it, it was about Don Quixote. How the hell did it get to be pedophilia by priests? But it went that way. Every time I did a revision, I had 21 revisions. I had no idea where I was going. And it was about a kid coming out of a Denver youth facility. He's 22 years old, and I'll read you the first couple of pages, okay, or maybe a little bit more. It's called American Orphan. When I first got here, I got the name Ghost Boy from the other kids because I didn't talk for a long time. Nobody knew anything about me. Is this thing on? No, right? Okay. Is it on? I usually don't like mics, but in this case, I like this not talk so loud. Does anybody know how to do this? Because me and David had 6 tequilas before we got here. Okay, can you hear me? Or is that not on yet? Okay. It doesn't have to be on. Here goes, guys. It doesn't have to be on. Ya está bien, David. It's okay.
Or people can get closer.
Either way,
Yeah.
Here goes. When I first got here, I got the name Ghost Boy from the other kids because I didn't talk for a long time. Nobody knew anything about me. The state only had facts on me, mostly all wrong, but they looked good on official papers that they had to fill out to keep me locked up for as long as they did. There were numbers that made the statistics look good. Statistics that meant the counselors and guards were doing a good job. It was all made up. My grandma told me once that when someone suffers something so bad and horrible that the soul cannot endure it, then the soul leaves for a while. That happened to me. I was suffering from susto, where a part of the soul is so terrified by a bad event that it leaves you incapable of speaking or responding in any way. You sort of go into hiding from the world. Your soul flees even though your body doesn't, and the soul comes back after a while. My brother Camilo told me that later on the reason our parents left was because they were addicts. And one day while we were out playing in Grandma's yard in our village, the authorities showed up in a blue government car and took us away. Camilo didn't explain any more, I think, because it hurt him to even talk about that day, and I don't remember. But bad things happened to who I was before. and not the Ghost Boy. So my nickname was also a kind of chance to start over. Bad things still happened the first few years at YA. That's Youth Authority. But at least they could pass through me because Ghost Boy was a ghost, right? The bad things went right through me and didn't stick in my memory, but emptied into a big black hole in my brain. My nickname Ghost Boy stuck, and even the nuns called me that when I was a kid. Everybody knew I had no family, didn't actually come from anywhere, no past, present, or future. I blocked out a lot of stuff when I first arrived, and after a year and a half or so, I started to talk again. But I liked my new name, Ghost Boy, and now it was not only going to be hard to get used to my other name, but weird. My real name was connected to the outside world, and now it was time to take it back. Now, after finishing my 7-year sentence for smuggling weed, locked up at 15 and released at 22, 7 years in the Denver Youth Authority, I was going to take back my real name because out there in the world, that's who I used to be and still was, I guess. My strategy for a smooth return to society had as much to do with haphazard reasoning as with my belief that angels were watching over me. You see, back then I was not the type given to protecting my welfare. And when lapses of sound calculation failed me, my angels rescued me. But leaving my angels aside for the moment, people were curious how I made it once out. I was naive, sure, as any 22-year-old, and my re-entry was horrific. But I was lucky. I went to live with my brother Camilo, then 23. He was a carpenter, build or fix anything when it came to wood. And in his letters, he kept telling me, don't worry. He had everything set up. The plan was to renovate old houses. He'd teach me the trade. Working and making money was what I needed to overcome the challenges and negotiate the insurmountable obstacles that sent most juvies back. And I was all about making it. I had spent almost all of my life in institutions. And to be honest, I hated them institutions. No more, I promised myself 1,000,000 times. No more. Now, I was released August 1980. And I was scared, but like I said, I had plans, big plans. After I landed, boarded the city bus and in my seat, looking out on the window at a place I once knew, but which now was unfamiliar. From the Albuquerque airport to my brother's, I got anxious because I knew nothing about being free. How does one handle freedom when he's never had it? What does one do with it? What is it? I just assumed with a cavalier attitude that getting my life going would be hard, but I could do it. I was nervous. I needed to walk, so I got off the bus and I started walking across the fields. And I got to thinking about Compass, the place up in Denver, and how I had just left, and how I was beginning to wonder if I would ever leave that place. I was so tired of the broken windows and the gashed and grime-spattered walls and floors, visiting room tables graffiti with gang signs, leaky ceilings and electrical outlets with exposed wiring, the main yard phones, all of it ripped out, the perennial stench of pepper spray and the staff breaking up fights, the spitting and the biting and the gangbanging, living with tense situations daily, the violent eruptions of kids who lost it mentally. Everything carried the signs of our frustrations and despair. Even the basketball goals was bent. And daily assaults on staff in solitary confinement, tired, just tired. While waiting in my cell for my release, I was assailed by relentless fear that I might never get out. You know, like those Mexican kids, a lot of them, who came here as refugees or asylum seekers and ended up incarcerated and forgotten. Freaked me out. Forgotten for years. Until one day, being too old to stay longer, and years after their sentence expired, they just vanished. These guys in Border Patrol uniforms show up, take them out and dump them somewhere. Just like that, they're gone. And I didn't want that to happen to me. And in my cell, I remember pacing, caught in the grip of grim despair that something had to go wrong and that, yes, the BP would show up and take me out to the desert. Who knows what they might do? Rumors had it that they buried a lot of kids out there. It's the world we live in, you know? I skipped dinner. I was filled with dread. I couldn't control my paranoia. My mind kept telling me that I'll waste away in this youth facility, telling me, You're kidding yourself, dude. They'll never let you out. You got nobody on the street who cares to make them release you. No one's going to even know if you stay. You'll join the rest of the homeless kids who have nowhere to go and no one out there. You're just one of the forgotten ones, just like them. You're what they call a no future person. No future, you got it? Only person, no tomorrow person. You only exist now. Not tomorrow, not tonight, only a now person. You have no future and you don't know what's going to happen next. No future person. Exhausted by hours of heart-wringing worry, I managed to nap a bit, and I dreamed. I'm standing in an empty courtroom in front of a black-robed judge, sitting up on a high pulpit, and the judge says, I sentence you to 7 years. And like a magician, I wave my court gavel and I make you imaginary. I make you vanish. You're going to be gone, bitch. And with the bark of my gavel, you will be Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. Life as you know it will be gone. And no matter how many times you click the heels of those prison brogans, you are never going to get to society. But I've changed, I hear myself say, rousing from sleep, rubbing my eyes, muttering, I'll be good. And that's when a voice emerges from beyond the margins of my dream, and I look. My dream's still in my eyes. When they fall in a garden in the shadow, rasping, get your shit. Keys jangle at his waist and a walkie-talkie crackles from his belt as he shuffles me out with a methodical ordinariness that conveys nothing special about my release. Just one more kid walking escorted across the yard, where I drop my box at the property room, pick up the $100, a pouch of bus tokens, YMCA voucher, and airline ticket to Albuquerque. When I step over the threshold of the giant compass gate, I swear, the second that my foot hits freedom ground, I feel a palpable easing around my throat. I can breathe again without that tightness in my throat, that strain in my chest. It felt like inside, like some evil presence that put me on the back and straddled my chest and pinned me down with its knees and was choking me. And then crossing the gate, the evil grip goes slack, and as I walk away, the expectancy of what the world might have to offer me rushes over me with surprising awe. And that's when the invisible monster just left, just vanished. Or whatever it was that kept torturing me all these years and hurting me every day vanished. It's just gone. And I could feel me again. The fear, the panic, the paranoia was absent, and it was replaced by me. And I would have fought it if I could have seen it. But I understood in a vague way that it was a system made of rules and regulations upheld by corrupt judges, lawyers and cops made to break me. A system that you can feel pressing down on you every day, as real as my blood and bones. It's a system that turns us against each other because of the color of our skin or ethnicity or what gang we belong to wage war against each other and break us down day by day. And I would have taken the barber shears and stabbed it. And during the time when all the kids were moving in lines during the work detail or something, I would have hit it over the head with a baseball bat, but you couldn't reach out and touch it. You couldn't speak to it. You couldn't reason with it because it was a system that was everywhere and nowhere, present but never visible. And its mission was to destroy us kids, criminalizing us in ways we could never recover from, teaching us to hate each other, blacks against whites, Chicanos and Indians against whites and blacks, turning us into racists, greedy and manipulative when we never were before, you know. Make us depressed, you know, disgraced. Make us hate ourselves until we no longer were like regular kids but fit only to join the military service where you don't have to think and only take orders when commanded to kill women and kids and you kill them. I really thought we were being trained for that kind of shit. For that until a second I walked over the threshold of the gate and I inhaled fragrant desert air. That odorous dirt from the desert. Pebbles and dew. And then I saw the stars in the horizon without bars or wires or walls obstructing the view the first time in years, all synced up to some amazing God plan. And the only time I felt such joyous freedom was in the orphanage when we went to pick apples in Corrales. I was there for 12 years at that orphanage. Orphan boy, 12 years. Hard to believe. But there were plenty of good times. One of them was going out to pick apples and then coming back and riding in the back of the truck on a huge mountain of apples. And I stood up and I waved at the motorists and pedestrians and I felt like a king. And now leaving Compass, I embraced that joy again. I lifted my face to the moon thinking, No more eyeing you between a guard tower or razor wire running across you. Now peering at you through a scratch. No more peering at you through a scratch in the painted window. No. And as I stepped toward the waiting van in the parking lot, I thought, one small step for criminal kind, one giant step for Orlando Lucero. That's the opening. That's him leaving. That's his re-entry. Okay, now I'll read you one. I'll read you one that came out, my most recent book. They're all books, and they're all still in print. If you want, you can get them online anytime. This is about a young woman. It's published by Beacon Press up in Boston, subsidiary of Random House in Penguin. And it was a New York Editor's Choice book. And it's an interesting thing because even as popular as it was by the initial reviewers, they're still trying to shy away, at least east of the Mississippi River, most definitely in the south, but we're not even going to discuss that because I have to go tour all those universities soon. But they're still really having a hard time with that whole immigrant issue of denial, denying that there's children in concentration camp dog cages, which there are. They were there 10, 15 years ago. It's just the rest of America is catching up now, because some really brave people from non-denominational churches have gone out there and consistently protested it and marched against it. And now, since all those protesters were white mostly, for 10 or 15 years, brown women have been out there protesting the whole time. But the news media is not driven, its membership, it's not driven by brown women protesting the imprisonment of children. It's driven by white upper middle class women going out there. Then the media goes out there and says, oh, what are you doing? As if only their concerns are real issues, right? So they're trying to distract us with the Chinese stuff now. They're trying to distract us with this idiot called Trump. I don't even know what he is. I mean, I don't know what he is. And I can't even say what he is anymore. Anyway, this morning they had a picture of him scratching his testicles on camera. It's like, does he want to be a gangbanger now? Or I don't get that. I don't know. But the book, this was my response to him and his lies, okay? Nothing but lies and lies. I mean, the lies don't even make sense anymore. It's like they had to create a whole definition for this guy. A definition for a pathological liar, a definition for, well, it just goes on and on. Anyway, here it goes. This is about a woman named Sofia. In San Salvador, Tonal, my marido, works night shift knitting clothing for export. Gangs tax the workers half their check, but Tonal refuses to pay. We have a 4-year-old Joaquin, but they don't care. On Tonal's way home last night, 4:30 in bed, when I hear angry voices outside. You pay or die. Wheels screech, the door slams, Tonal's voice begs for mercy, then shouts, boom, boom! And the car squeals off, leaving Tonal's jagged voice, Sofia, ayúdame, por favor, ayúdame, Sofia. And I rush from the bedroom, draw my yarn blanket and slippers on, llama and sheep wool that Tonal made for me on our 5th anniversary. I dash into the night across the street, collapse next to Tonal, kneeling under the streetlight in the neighbor's stone dirt driveway. And I cradle Tonal's body on my lap, mi amor, I weep, as blood pools in the dirt, and I tug his arms and I shake him, mi amor, no te mueres, por favor, no te mueres. And he groans, corre pa'l norte, mi reina, con mi hijito, vete, mi amor, corre, te van a matar. And I scream, stay awake, stay awake. Blood surges from his thighs, ladles out from kneecaps that look like potato peelings on a cutting board. And the stones and the dirt witness. The stones ask, and the stones take, and the stones tell. Lay on us, they whisper. We will absorb your sadness, Sophia. Tonal died. Me and my baby Joaquin go north, from norte, as he wanted, to escape the wrath of the gangs. At every port and border, we encounter vigilantes, uniformed administrators, and unruly mobs, shouting the same refrain, go back to your goddamn country. And from the American language radios at the Mercado and from windows, talk show celebrities label us outlaws, criminals, and drug dealers, answering our misery with four-wall thinking. And the experts claim to know our oppression, how we're tortured and murdered and turned away at every door. But instead of the real people that we are, hungry and kind and hardworking and dreaming of an education, their ideas replace us with stereotypes that suit their selfish needs. And we did nothing wrong. It is you who has been doing us wrong for years, taking everything that we have. We did nothing wrong. And the shooting has taken the center out of me. It leaves cartridges of shotgun shells where my heart used to be, in the center of me, smoldering. Hatonal was just on his way home from work. Paper lunch clutched in hand, San Martin de Porras medal around his neck, a turquoise silver wedding band that his tío Tomás, a Huichol silversmith, made for us, and a heart tattoo with our names on his chest, Joaquin Siempre Mi Amor, on his left forearm. And so I pack what I can carry and I flee para norte because I believe my husband. Joaquin strapped to my back. 4 times I jump trains as they are moving. 4 times I'm raped by gangs, by predators and the police. And as each man mounts me, a voice in me speaks. Will you tell them that hell is not a dream and that you've been there? Will you tell them? And I whisper, I will. In El Paso, Texas, I plead for asylum. They bus me to the Otero County Processing Center, Immigration Detention Center in Otero County, New Mexico, and ICE authorities take my baby Joaquin and I'm placed in a cell. And 2 ICE officials raped me that night. Their badges and their pistols and their leather belts shimmering under the fluorescent lights, their sweat flickering spit on my cheek and forehead, their veins pulse with reddened faces, and their eyes are sparkling with madness. The Cibola County Correctional Center, run by Core Civic in Otero County, is a machine that turns its cruel amusement wheels, manufacturing package lies that I am a worthless villain. And then I am raped by the ICE officer a second time. And he grunts like a pig, and the stones and the dirt witness, and the stones ask, and the stones take, and the stones tell. Lay on us. We will absorb your sadness, Sophia. And I close my eyes, vowing never to become a company prison whore for favors, cokes, chips, and cigarettes. I close my eyes as they are raping me, and I see Tonal hovering in the air around me. She's bleeding. I hear an ICE officer's voice say to his partner on top of me, who replies, what's she gonna do, call 911? He laughs, let the bitch die. The more they do, the better off we are. And I see Tonal, and now I see Joaquin's eyes above them, like blinding sunshine, burning away their smell and their touch and their laughter, burning away the gunshots that killed Tonal, that shatter my dreams with snarls and scare me, burning away all the gangs and the clubs and the bombs and the body parts strewn in the streets, the paramilitary death squads that scare me in San Salvador, burning away patriotism's blood hunger that devours and maims and silences Salvador's children. It's a democracy that stalks us down there and roams the dark land of our sorrow, smothered in flames and blood of our loved ones. But the stones in the dirt witness, and the stones ask, and the stones take, and the stones tell. Lay on us. We will absorb your sadness, Sophia. Tonal and Joaquin's eyes shine like the sun, as if to say, Mama. Mama, healing is the word for challenge. Healing is just another word to dream what's possible. And their eyes, my husband and my son's eyes convey, looking into my brown eyes, they convey all of us who journeyed undocumented from cosmic, sunlit regions of the universe into earthlings with mouth and hands and hips and toes. Like all of us, once a child filled with questions. Mother, what is that? His first sensual exploration into the world sparked light in his heart, brimmed seeds of his origin-ness. What is that, Mama? And I said, es un chile verde, it's a green chili pepper. And in the belter arriba, I said, that's a pigeon. Mama, what is this? Oh, ese es la Sagrada Madre. That's sandbox soil. And that? Feeling my lips on his cheek, I said, mijito, es un besito, like it's a kiss. And then when he kisses me, I say, ooh, mijito, what is that? And he says, love, Mama, love. And now they have Joaquin caged somewhere. And I listen to the rumors from the other women. They sell the children to sex